Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. My name's Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Marcie.
Hello.
We're back. Welcome back. It's All-Star Weekend. We're recording this. Hopefully, we get this all done and recorded before the PWHL 3-on-3 showcase starts tonight. And we'll talk a little bit more about today's festivities and also some updates that we got yesterday regarding the All-Star game and the whole weekend and everything. But first of all, even though the Leafs didn't play, we do have some Leafs updates to provide. This morning, pictures from Tessa Virtue and Morgan Riley's wedding, they had two weddings, were released by Hello Canada magazine in an exclusive interview with the pair. They are gorgeous pictures.
So cute.
So cute. They had two weddings. They had one in Italy, one in Toronto. Love it for them. They looked so great.
I'm obsessed with Tessa's dresses.
They were beautiful dresses.
Gorgeous
dresses. So those pictures, easy to find. You can find them they're like everywhere on Twitter and Instagram, and then, or if you are old-fashioned, you can walk into your closest store that sells magazines and buy yourself a copy of Hello Canada's latest magazine, and they're on the cover. So
as they should.
My favorite thing is the headline is Tessa Virtue is married, and then Morgan Riley is in the subtitle.
Morgan Riley is in fine print on the back page.
Very true. That's great. Also, as well, if you want to listen to another podcast besides yours truly's, Simon Benoit was on the latest episode of the Mitsoff podcast, hosted by Luke Gazdick, and they had a lovely conversation. It's half hour, 30 minutes, and it's really great. It sheds kind of a light on who Benoit is kind of as a person, also his game, and talks a lot about his years coming up through through major junior in the queue, and then signing his first contract with San Diego, and then, playing for the Ducks, which is, I guess, for a lot of Leafs fans, we didn't know that much about him really when he came to the Leafs, and so it's really great. It's a great interview. Give it a listen. Really enjoyable, really fun. And then also, if you still have a little bit of soft spot for some former Leafs, Michael Bunting was on the latest episode of the Spit and Chicklets pod. It was recorded, or the interview was recorded early this season, and you can tell just by the answers of some of the questions, but there's a lot that was talked about his time with Toronto, and he said all very nice things about the city, about his now former teammates, and also about the media, surprisingly. He spoke highly of the Toronto media, which is really interesting. Usually people do not say that. So it's very interesting to see, hear the difference between, Michael Bunting speaking about the Toronto media and someone who grew up familiar with how it is because he's from Toronto, and Ryan O'Reilly speaking about the Toronto media.
Very polar opposites.
Very polar opposites. So yeah, those are our Leafs updates. Not very many. None of it on ice stuff. But of course, obviously, also as well, we've got 4 Leafs in action this weekend at the All-Star game with Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Morgan Riley, and William Nylander. So
exciting.
The player draft is tonight. I'm actually really excited for the player draft. But, of course, it's not the biggest news of today at all. There's been some F1 news, which I'm not going to spend. I do only want to talk about it because it's the funniest thing that has consumed my entire day today. And Marcie is about to zone out as I'm Lewis Hamilton. But to put it into perspective for people who don't follow F1, Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes and going to Ferrari is if Sidney Crosby went to the New York Rangers.
Ooh.
Because yes, Lewis Hamilton spent part of the start of his career was with McLaren, and then he went to Mercedes, but he's been with Mercedes for 11 years now, to the point where his personal brand, the brand, the Mercedes team brand is tied so closely with Lewis Hamilton's personal brand that you can't think of one without thinking of the other, in the same way where it's if you think Pittsburgh Penguin, you think Sidney Crosby. If you think Sidney Crosby, you think Pittsburgh Penguin. So, and it's got everyone in a tizzy. It's really interesting, especially because, like, Ferrari as a team is just, it's like the Leafs. It's the reason why I'm not a Ferrari fan, because I can only do that sort of pain once for one thing willingly. And me willingly choosing to be a Ferrari fan is too much to bear. So, but yeah, we're not on F1 podcast. It's still like, it's one of those things where it's like, crazy day, huge day for sports news. Of course, not the biggest sports news. Joseph Wold did post on Instagram today.
No, because it's the way that, like, before I went to practice, I was on his Instagram. I went to check his tag, and I was like, oh, nothing new. And he's such a teenage girl with the way he posts. Like, it's just a little, just like, this is just me posting pictures of my friends and family, out of order, just like randomly.
I love that it's not in order too, because I'm like, yeah, okay, so it's like proving to me that I could just post old pictures if I wanted to. I don't. But yeah, we're going to, though, however, talk about the athletic player survey came out this week. I'm just trying to find it again. I don't know why I don't have the link. It's not been that long. I don't know why it's not giving it to me.
Oh my god, where is my laptop?
Oh, here we go.
Christ.
There we go. Okay, so every year, The Athletic releases their annual player survey and the results from it. It asks questions from most underrated player to best jerseys to which player you want to punch in the face. Some were no surprises. Like, there were, like, who's the best player in the league? Connor McDavid won that by a landslide. Like, shocker. Who's surprised?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always nice, you know, to see people, like, giving others a chance. So it's, like, very clearly, you know, in his little NHL group chat, Justin Hall was like, guys, I know, like, best player in the league, I know you're all going to want to vote for me, but I think it's time we give, you know, the less fortunate a chance to shine. So everyone, let's all hype up little Connor, little McDavid. Yeah, it's so sweet of him. So nice.
The one that actually surprised me was that Austin Matthews was tied, like, 7th down the list with Kirill Kaprizov and Alexander Barkov. That was the one that was a little, also as well, like, Philip Forsberg made the short list, which I don't know if someone, like, misread the question as, like, best mustache or best player. It's the NHL. We don't know how many of these guys can actually read, so who knows?
Yeah.
I also do think that Panarin, with the season that he's having, got a little bit of a snub there. He was lower than I thought he would be. There was a couple guys who I'm like, some of them not surprised where they are in the list. I thought, maybe Panarin would have gotten more of the pie, especially maybe from the Eastern Conference guys, or his own teammates. But also as well, I do want to, probably my favorite question in the poll that's every year is, who's the player whose face you most want to punch? I think that is, like, my favorite question to get asked. I
have some serious thoughts, and my biggest question I have to ask about this is, how on earth is there more players that want to punch Jeff Skinner than Trevor Zegras and Tom Wilson?
And Radko Gudas, too.
Yeah,
it's like, you surely did not pull enough Leafs players. Because I have a feeling there would be more of them.
Literally, it's like, how... why would, like, you want to punch Jeff Skinner? Noted, like, little fucking Christmas elf.
I was like, what did Jeff Skinner... I guess there really truly is some High School Musical haters in the league. And I would like names. I know this is an anonymous survey,
Not
but
anymore.
they do just release the names of who voted for Jeff Skinner.
Exactly.
That is all I need, and then we can have a nice little chat.
mean,
Obviously,
it's like-
leading, like, no surprise, top, especially with the season that he's had, top of that list is Nick Cousins. No surprise there. Brad
Valid.
Marchand also up there as well. Matthew Tkachuk, Michael Bunting, not surprising. Connor Garland, I didn't think he was that much of a pest, but also don't watch a lot of Canucks games. Garnet Hathaway, Brady Tkachuk actually fairly low on the list. I guess they just want to bite him instead. Ryan Lomberg, Nazem Kadri, Fiala, didn't know what Fiala did, Jeff Skinner, Trevor Zegras, Tom Wilson, Rasmus Anderson, Radko Gudas, Nikita Zadorov, Vander Kane, David Perron. And then there's like a bunch of guys who all got like who were voted other. Some notable names on that list: Tim Stützle, Rasmus Dahlin, Mason Marchment, Brendan Gallagher, Darnell Nurse, Trent Frederick, Warren Fogle, Roman Josi. What did Roman Josi do to you guys? Like, that's where I'm like, there are some personal grudges in this others category, because like, who wants to punch Roman Josi in the face?
No, like, my big thing is like, someone's got to have some serious beef with Logan Stanley, because I'm not being funny. If someone says, who out of every single player in the NHL do you want to punch the most, and your mind immediately goes to Logan Stanley.
My thing is also as well, like, Alex Lafreniere. Why is that the name that comes up right off? Like, you're like, oh yeah, I am going to punch Alexis Lafreniere from the New York Rangers. That is a player in the entire league whose face I most would want to punch. That's like my favorite sort of question. Also as well, there was one that was like, who's the best ref in the game? And the top vote, I know not enough Leafs voted in this one, because the top was Wes McFucking-Colley. So shot. I'm sorry, I know people love the theatrics, and I think part of it is like it's the one that they all know, it's the name that you know, and that's usually the case to refs. Like you I think the key for being a ref is like, if no one knows your name, you're doing a good job. But if everyone knows your name, odds are you're doing a shit job. It's the same thing in baseball with Angel Hernandez. Every baseball fan knows Angel Hernandez because he's a shit umpire. He's a bad umpire. So like, Wes McCauley also is for the theatrics. Everyone knows his like 5 each for fighting, right? Like everyone knows that. And I think that's part of the reason, but also as well, like, okay. Yeah. And then there's a worst ref in the game as well. That was another question where I was like, oh, there you go. And then the other one I do want to say, least favorite road city to play in, Winnipeg, number 1.
I think probably the lack of airport has got something to do with it.
Yeah, Ottawa was number 2. I think that's just because everything here closes at 10 o'clock at night. Like, it's impossible. It's really hard to get food after 10 p.m. That's coming from someone who's tried it, who lives here. But justice for Ottawa. We're cool. We got some cool places to go. You just haven't found them. I feel like if they find, like, we have, like, one country bar here. And I feel like if they find it, I think it'll be a big hit with all the NHLers. But yeah, so that's just a little bit of the athletic player survey. It's so fun every year. It's like my favorite thing to read every year. On other news, if we're going to talk about Leafs, because we're not going to talk about the Leafs, we can talk about former Leafs. Carolina Hurricanes announced this week that goaltender Frederik Andersen is set to resume on-ice activities. He was in a statement released. The team said that he was diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis and then subsequent pulmonary embolisms in November, but is now on medication to help control that. And he has already started off-ice conditioning activities and is now cleared to start practicing on ice. Yay! That's good news.
It's brilliant news.
That is really, really brilliant. Great news. That we love to hear.
We do.
Sure, definitely, like, just because, he wants to be playing, and everyone, like, we want him to be playing.
Yeah.
And glad that, he's on his way back to making it back to being in a game. It's just really good. Now, the blockbuster of yesterday evening. We have a trade to talk about.
I'm sad. I'm really sad.
Like, I was out last night for dinner with my boyfriend, and we had run into a friend of mine from work who was also out with her boyfriend, and we were like, oh yeah, no, join us, sit at our table, whatever. And we were talking, and they have the TVs on, and I get notifications from my phone, and I get like a Elliot Friedman retweet. I'm like, oh, what's that? And it's like, oh, Lindholm may be on his way to Vancouver. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then you get a Chris Johnson tweet that says, Elias Lindholm to Vancouver, and it with Kuzmenko as the return. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then it's official, and then they're talking about it as if it's official during the intermission of the Detroit and Sens game that's on, which is the only game that's on at the time, because, you got to have some hockey during most of the league's bye week. And then you're like, oh, so it's really happening. So the trade is Calgary Flames traded forward Elias Lindholm to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko, Hunter Brustewicz. I think that's how you pronounce it. There's two Z's in that name. Brustewicz, Joni Germo, and a 2024 first-round pick and a conditional 2024 fourth-round pick. The condition on that pick is the fourth-round pick will become a third-round pick if Vancouver makes it to the Western Conference Final this year in the playoffs. If the pick remains a fourth round, Calgary will get the better of the two picks that Vancouver owns. So they will either get Vancouver's pick or New Jersey Devils. So it's really who goes further in the playoffs then at that point, or like who has the better pick. So just to note, like, Lindholm is a pending UFA after this season. And Kuzmenko has 1 year left out of his deal at a $5.5 million cap hit. Hunter Brustewicz, I really should have looked up how to say his name beforehand. This is actually so embarrassing. There's too many Z's in that. Is a top prospect and is a prospect right now in the WHL and has been lighting up the league there. So I think, like, this is definitely, like, the Canucks going all in.
Yeah.
This year.
So sad. They got rid of him. They sent him away.
I think it was no surprise they were going to try and offload his contract for sure.
Yeah.
At the production that he's been at, especially if they think that they're going to go all in this year. It's a huge exchange, like Vancouver's giving up quite a bit in terms of just the future for them. If Lindholm walks at free agency at the end of the season, or they might be sure that they can re-sign him, who knows? And, I think actually, in hindsight as well, Vancouver kind of was setting the tone for their season this year in terms of them being, like, really aggressive on the trade market. With the Lafferty trade in October. Like, I know at the time, like, when it happened in October, I think we all thought, oh, it's a cap dump for the Leafs. Like, I think also we didn't have these expectations placed on Vancouver for them doing that well this season. And so, Lafferty, and it was obvious what the Leafs were making room for with sending Lafferty away. So they were making room for Ryan Reeves in the lineup. and then, you know, sending Lafferty away to Vancouver, and we're like, oh, okay, like this is an obvious cap dump. But at the same time, like also, you know, it's an asset that Vancouver got for sure with only giving up a 5th round pick to get. So definitely think like they kind of were setting the tone this season. And I think, you know, the expectations for Vancouver right now is that they're going to be making a cup run this season.
Oh, yeah.
And they're still set up to have a good future as well. Like, that's the thing where it's, like, kind of scary about, like, have the Vancouver Canucks finish their, you know, somewhat of a rebuild? Potentially. Like, if you look at the roster that they have, it's a pretty loaded roster. You know, you got now 6 All-Stars because Elias Lindholm is going to the All-Star game. Like, if I had Nick, like, what is the Canucks with, like, doing this, like, again? They did this last year. They traded an All-Star who's going to the All-Star game before the All-Star game. Right, like, literally, maybe, like, it was, like, right around this time, too. Like, it was basically almost the same day. Like,
yeah, it was on the 30th. I remember that day. It was a dark, dark day.
But yeah, like the Vancouver Canucks, like if you look at their draft picks, they have this year in 2024, they have a 3rd, a conditional 4th, 2 6th, and a 7th. But then next year, like 2025, they have a 1st, a 2nd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. And then 2026 is the same, except they don't have a 7th. So, like, they still have assets to trade if need be. And the trade deadline's a month away.
Oh my God, it's only a month away. This year has gone so quick.
Oh, I know. We're already at the All-Star break. Like
it's February now.
You think about, like, but, like, you know, you got some guys you got a couple of, like, UFAs, yes. But also as well, like, you know, you could be in a position to, if you get the Elias Pettersson contract done, you know, because he is an RFA after this season, you're set up for the next couple of years at having a pretty strong core, at least with your forwards, to you know, kind of be a contender for the next couple of years. And I think that was unexpected from a lot of people. I think, you know, them and Winnipeg, a lot of people didn't think they were going to be this good this year.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, I was not expecting this from the Canucks at all. I had them down as being my emotional support failure team for again, because that's what they were last season. And, like, where has this come from?
Like, if you think about the turnaround that they've had, you know, under Rick Tocchet, like, in the past, like, what, year now, I think, at this point? Like, when Bruce Boudreau was fired, like, look at the turnaround that they've had in a year. It's crazy.
It is insane.
It's insane. Like, it's not so much like 2019 St. Louis Blues sort of thing where it's like they find themselves at the bottom of the division, you know, at the All-Star, at the trade deadline, and by the end of, like, and then they go on to win the cup that season. But I do think, like, the Vancouver Canucks definitely have a chance, especially, you know, for them to at least get to the final, because you look at the route that they have to take through the West, and, you know, you could see, like, yeah, there's some pretty powerhouse teams there. You know, like, you have like Edmonton's on a big year. Vegas is still a contender. But it's like, you know, you look on the other side of things in the Central, like, really the only team that could potentially is maybe Colorado, but they've been having their issues as of late. But, like, Winnipeg. So, like, maybe, you know, the Pacific could be a little bit dangerous if LA gets their shit turned around, but you could have, you know, Vegas and Edmonton going head to head at each other, depending on how things shake out. and it could, you could find the Vancouver Canucks could find them in a situation where it's really easy for them to end up in the Western Conference Final, and then 7 games and you're in the Stanley Cup Final for the first time since 2011.
That's something I do really want to see. I want to see them.
I just want to see the city of Vancouver burn down. Gee, last time they were there, we all seen the pictures of what happened, but I definitely anyway, it's definitely one of those things where the Vancouver Canucks are an interesting team to keep an eye on for sure. But if I'm Calgary, with trading away Lindholm, I'm selling at the deadline. You have to trading away Lindholm, you're committing now to the rebuild, full rebuild, not this retooling bullshit that so many teams are trying to do that only works in so few situations. But you have to commit now to being okay, we have to scrap. It's a fire sale, literally. It's a Flames. It's a fire sale. Right?
Yeah. No,
that's what I'm doing if I'm Calgary, because obviously they've been trying to retool for how many seasons now, since they lost in what was it, 2017? They lost to Edmonton in that one series.
Yeah, I think it was 2017.
But it's that one, it was a battle about, what series I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah.
It was 2022. Was it actually only 2022? I thought it was later than that. So it was only 2022. Okay, my bad. Definitely thought it was later than that. I don't know why I was thinking 2017.
Time works weird, man.
I know. That also, though, at the same time is couple seasons ago.
No.
But Edmonton absolutely wiped the floor with Calgary, defeating them 4-1 in 5 games. And you look at the players that were on that roster, and so many of them are gone. I think the only ones that are still there are Markstrom, Backlund, Hanifin, Tanev now. I think at least your difference maker. Oh, and Rasmus Anderson. But all the other ones are gone. That was back when Cal Yarncroke was still on the Flames. So put that into perspective, so for some Leafs fans at least. Yeah. All-Star Weekend is underway. First events are tonight. The PWHL 3-on-3 showcase is tonight at 6. I definitely recommend tuning in, because it's essentially a who's who of PWHL talent, as well as on the bench as well. Coaching both teams is Olympian and favorite Canada's princess, Tessa Virtue, and then also as well WNBA player Jonquel Jones will both be celebrity coaches for each of the teams. So definitely worth the tune in. That starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, and it's on Sportsnet, or I think ESPN for American listeners, and if you're British, wherever you watch your hockey. I think it's via Play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it'll be on there.
As well as participants for the skills comp events have been announced as well. We've talked about the format. We've talked about the format in terms of how it's going to work, and each of the 12 players will compete in 4 of the first 6 events. Blah 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 blah. So fastest skater going through it. Connor McDavid, William Nylander, Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, and Matthew Barzal, because, spoiler alert, Jack Hughes is not, like I predicted about 2 weeks ago when he first got hurt. Jack Hughes is not going to be participating in any of the on-ice stuff for the All-Star game weekend. He won't be participating in either the skills comp or the All-Star game. So Jesper Bratt is replacing him, and then Matthew Barzal will replace Jack Hughes in the skills comp. I have mixed messaging on terms of if he's still going to be there for the draft, the player draft, if he's still going to be there as a co-captain, because like the league said he was still going to be there as a co-captain, but then the Vancouver Canucks were saying that Pettersson was going to replace him as like an assistant captain on the team Quinn Hughes. So I have mixed messaging. I cannot tell you what I know for sure, but just for note.
Yeah, I was confused by it as well. I was
also,
like, what is going on?
Yeah. For the one-timers, it's going to be Elias Pettersson, Nathan MacKinnon, Leon Draisaitl, Nikita Kucherov, JT Miller, Austin Matthews, Matthew Barzal, David Pastrnak. For the passing challenge, it's going to be Nathan MacKinnon, William Nylander, Cale Makar, Matthew Barzal, JT Miller, Nikita Kucherov, Quinn Hughes, Connor McDavid, Elias Pettersson, Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl. For the hardest shot, it's going to be Austin Matthews, Cale Makar, David Pastrnak, JT Miller, Elias Pettersson. For the for the NHL, like the stick handling, it's going to be Quinn Hughes, Connor McDavid, Elias Pettersson, Nikita Kucherov, Leon Draisaitl, Nathan MacKinnon, David Pastrnak, Matthew Barzal, William Nylander. For the accuracy shooting, it is going to be Kucherov, Makar, McDavid, Hughes, Miller, Pastrnak, McKinnon, Nylander, Draisaitl, and Matthews. I want to hand out, if they chose on purpose and they knew what everyone was going to be picking and things like that, I got to give, in terms of strategy, I have to give it out to Cale Makar, because we do know in terms of how it's going to work with the point system, the top 5, like how it is, it's like similar to how like Formula 1 points work, where it's, you know, the first person who comes in first is going to get like 6 points, second is going to get like 5 points, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Down the list we go. So only the top 6 in each event get points. But if there's only 5 people in the event, you're guaranteed at least, you know, you're guaranteed to get points no matter where you finish. So hats off to Cale Makar for being in 2 events that, you know, will give him points. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I really, this sounds mean, but I need to see him fall over again.
in the fastest skater.
Actually, I need to see the man fall.
Is William Nylander as fastest skater? Like, it got to the point where like they did the announcement, whatever, and I'm like, William Nylander fastest skater. I went to NHL Edge, and I looked up his skating speeds.
Oh,
he is not up there. He's in like what, like the mid 80 percentile of players. Like he's average fast. He's not like crazy fast. So I find it so funny that he chose to do the fastest skater. I think that's so funny. I also do want to say, like, people were like mad that it's like, oh, it's only 12 and they're like, there's only 7 teams like represented. People are like, well, not every player is going to get a chance to like whatever, blah, 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 blah. We knew this was the format so long ago. This format was announced back in what? Before Christmas. We definitely talked about it like before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to like.
It's been a while.
We've known. I feel like we've known for like so long. Yeah, the player draft we knew like it's like this. I'm like going back through my notes. Hold on. Where I was like, we definitely like knew about this for a while.
It's been a hot minute.
So like, I don't know why people are complaining. Like, you had so long to complain about it, and now you're only just complaining now. It's a little bit. Yeah, here we go. We knew about it like mid-December is when it was announced. Right around the time the Blues hired Berube. Not hired, when they fired Berube. It's like that was like it was all discussed in the same podcast episode for us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like we knew about it. We knew that it wasn't going. Not all the players were going to get a chance to participate, and I think definitely it's one of those things where they're trying out a new format for the skills competition. And I think it's definitely going to be something where it's going to get changed and like it'll be reworked. If they find that this sort of works and is successful, it's definitely something where it's like, give it a couple of years and it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, give it a chance.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just really looking forward to it, to be honest.
Oh, I think it's gonna be so much fun.
Excited.
Hopefully, like, it's a little bit more exciting. It works a little bit smoother than last year's. Like, I know people love the dunk tanks and whatever, but I think like skipping to stuff that was pre-recorded and then stuff that was happening in the arena, and then no one really knew what was going on, and then it was always cutting to commercial, and it was like I felt like I was watching an episode of Dancing with the Stars. Right?
It was like a bit all over the place. But I'm just sad at the loss of Sidney Crosby in little tiny black shorts and a white t-shirt in a dunk tank.
I think everyone's sad about this, but I also think that if you put Sidney Crosby in a dunk tank in Toronto in February outside, I think he would develop hypothermia.
I mean, they could do it inside. You know, I'm not picky. Like, who's to say they can't put him in like a heated dunk tank?
Like a hot tub?
Yeah. Put Sidney Crosby in little black shorts and a little white t-shirt in a hot tub and just like that, just show us that for like 10-15 minutes. I'll be happy.
Yeah. I am though, like I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a really fun weekend for sure. You know, hopefully it is, because you know, and I think $1 million is a lot more of a useful prize than a year of free Chipotle going to a guy who works in a province that does not have a single Chipotle. Nick Suzuki, I hope there was a cash equivalent that you could have won instead.
Yeah. Like, imagine it's just like dangling it right in front of you. It's like, oh, you won this, but you can't use it. No.
Yeah. Well, now we are on the final of our topics for today's episode.
Oh, wow.
Already, yeah, I know. We went quick through that, but it's also one that we've talked about now for the past couple of episodes.
Yeah.
But we've gotten more developments in this story in the past week than we have in what feels like the past 12 months.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say little victories, but take it when we can. Obviously, we're talking about Team Canada World Juniors in London 2018. So there was a Rick Westhead article on TSN that came out earlier this week that lists sorry, I just want to make sure I found it. Here we go. It's TSN. That confirms that the NHL players that are facing charges in sexual assault in the investigation. So those 4 NHL players are, of course, like, not surprised. Are Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, Dylan Dubé, and Cal Foote. They have been the ones who have been directed to surrender to police in London, Ontario, to be charged with sexual assault in connection with an alleged incident that occurred at a Hockey Canada event in Mississippi in June 2018. So I'm just trying to, yeah, here we go. I think for sure, like, there's all these statements as well that have been released by the players' lawyers, and I just think as like each one that came out
it just got worse.
It got just grosser and like ickier to read. We'll read them all out, but like it's just you sit there and you read them, and it's like the one like. So for the first one that came out was the one for Dylan Dubé. Said that we are counsel for Dylan Dubé. The London Police Service have charged Mr. Dubé with sexual assault. He will plead not guilty and maintains he's innocent. He will defend the allegations in court. We ask that you respect the privacy of Mr. Dubé and that of his family. There's no further comment at this time. The thing I do want to mention, like while we're talking about Dylan Dubé right now, I think Calgary, in their statement announcing Dubé's stepping away from team duties and they mentioning mental health as a reason for why he's stepping away from team duties, is disgusting. I think it's so gross using that as an excuse in this situation, especially like in a week where also like the same, like, you know, within a week, Patrick Laine also announced that he's stepping away from the team due to mental health reasons. And because I think for sure, like, there will be people who will now be like, okay, anytime, because there's going to be people on the internet, because this is the internet, but who will say, okay, you know, who will be every time there's a player who, you know, takes time away from their team as a result of mental health, there will be people in the replies on that statement being like, oh, we must, you know, here's another guy who's going to get charged with sexual assault, which is disgusting and so not true. And, you know, Calgary did release a statement saying that they weren't aware that was the reason that he was stepping away from the team, which I think is bullshit. I think they definitely probably had an idea of what it was for. Especially
it's like, because they were like, oh, he's like, what was it, like, under the care of professionals,
under the care of mental health
like,
professionals.
that's what gets, like, if they hadn't known, then they wouldn't have said that, because he wasn't under the care of mental health professionals.
He was under the care of his lawyers. Like, so I think it's bullshit, and I think like this, it's, you know, it's definitely really disgusting. I think especially now where it seems like players have become more comfortable talking about mental health and, you know, having it be a more open discussion. I think it's a huge step backwards for the league and for men's mental health, which is already a very stigmatized topic, to have this on top of it, because there's going to be people who are going to do that, you know, because that's how the internet works. Right. And it just sucks. It sucks for sure. And I think for sure, like, definitely that is not what's going to be the case next time a player has to step away from team duties due to mental health. At least I hope not, because God forbid, who knows in this league. The next one we have to read is the one for Carter Hart. That was released by his lawyers. We act for Carter Hart and confirm he has been charged with 1 count of sexual assault. He is innocent and will provide a full response to this false allegation in the proper forum, a court of law. Until then, we have no comment. Also, as well, then there was the one for Cal Foote, as well. From his lawyers. I can confirm that my client, Cal Foote, was charged with sexual assault. Cal is innocent of the charge and will defend himself against this allegation to clear his name. What is most critical at this time is the presumption of innocence and the right to a fair trial that everyone in Canada is entitled to. As the matter is before the court, I ask that Cal's and his family's privacy be respected. There will be no further comment at this time. And then also as well, the one for I'm just trying to look for the one for Michael McLeod, because that one was really disgusting. I just don't know where we sent it, because it's not in like the usual place where all of our it's been deleted. Hold on. I think it was because it was a, sorry, it's just, here we go. It's in I found it in the TSN article. It was originally posted by Elliot Friedman. That tweet has now been deleted, but but here, this is it from the TSN article, which is also where all of them are as well. We can now confirm more than 5.5 years after EM's initial complaint to police, the London Police Service has charged Mike McLeod with sexual assault. The statement reads, Mr. McLeod denies any criminal wrongdoing. He will be pleading not guilty and will vigorously defend the case. This one, I think, personally for me, is the absolute worst one because of these, like, what, 5-6 words? That more than 5.5 years after EM's initial complaint to police. Oh my God, is that just the most grimy, slimy little half sentence to include in a statement? It makes it like, it's like one of those things where you just feel sick reading it, like you feel gross reading it because you know what they're implying.
Oh yeah, and it's like
they're implying like it's been nearly 6 years, let it go. That's what they're implying. And it's like disgusting.
There's no time limit on sexual assault.
No, there's no statute. There's no statute of limitation for sexual assault charges in Canada. You can, go and file, like, charges can be filed no matter how long after the event took place. So, like, the fact that they're implying by saying, like, it's been 5.5 years, like, get over it. Like, that's what's being implied here, which is disgusting. That's despicable. Because also at the same time, it's not like the victim went to police immediately, right? And then it was London police didn't do their initial due diligence. Hockey Canada then paid her off, and then with the backlash that was received from people discovering that Hockey Canada used registration funds to pay off, essentially make sexual assault victims of their players shut up, for lack of better words. London police was like, maybe then we should further, like, investigate this.
Yeah, I don't even have words.
Yeah.
For, to actually talk about it.
It's like so upsetting as women. Like, if you're a woman in this, I don't want to say in this day and age, but if you're a woman right now, you either know of or are yourself a victim of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And so it hits really close to home anytime something, a story like this comes up. And like, I do want to say, for those who may, feel like it's too much to handle in terms of just seeing all this stuff, I'm like, it's okay to take a time away from the internet. It's okay. Like, do what you think feels best for yourself and for your own mental health. Like, if you need to log off of Twitter for a couple days, log off of Twitter for a couple days. It'll be there, unless Elon Musk decides to blow it up. It'll be there when you get back. Right? It's fine. Do what's best for yourself. Just also as a reminder as well, London police will have a press conference February 5th. That's Monday after the All-Star break at 2 p.m. It will be live streamed across all social media platforms, and also TSN will be broadcasting it as well for our Canadian listeners. We do a show on Monday, so we'll probably talk about it on Monday, about what was brought up during this press conference. All pleaded non guilty, and then today, this is another tweet from Rick Westhead. In court documentation obtained by TSN Sports and CTV National News, it confirmed that those 4 NHL players that we had discussed have all been charged with sexual assault. All the players have said that they will plead not guilty, and the allegations against them have not been tested in court. The players were arrested on January 26th, and their next appearance date is February 5th, according to the documents. So that also is the same day as the the press conference. It said, like, it basically says, insert player name here, on or about the 19th day of June in the year 2018 at the City of London in the Southwest region did commit a sexual assault on EM, contrary to section 2171 of the Criminal Code of Canada. The documents repeats the same allegation for all the other athletes and says McLeod is also facing an additional charge of sexual assault for being a party to the offense. Now, I don't know exactly what this like other charge is that's against just Mike McLeod. I'm not a legal expert. I've seen some people say like it could be because he was the player who reached out to the victim to tell her to, make it go away, to like after she had gone to police to be like, hey, no, like retract what you told police, like take it back. I've seen also people say that it could be because he was the one who, was player number one in all of the the timeline of events that happened, who was the player who organized it, invited all the players into that hotel room. So either way, he does have an additional charge placed against him that is not placed against the other players. So
yeah, there's that.
Yeah. So obviously we know what we know. I think, it's not a surprise, but also at the same time, it's one of those topics where it's like you feel gross every time you like, not gross, like, I don't know how, like you just feel a little bit, you feel sick to your stomach. For sure. Reading that sort of things.
Completely.
Without further ado, that's all we have to talk about. Oh my God.
Oh.
We have more like red carpet stuff from the All-Star game. David Pastrnak looks like the man in the yellow suit from Curious George. I kid you not.
Oh my God, I had such a fat crush on him. Where is he?
David Pastrnak or the man in the yellow suit?
The man in the yellow suit. Okay, Austin.
Is Austin actually look? This is like when I'm like kind of like disappointed we don't have video with our podcast episodes.
Oh, okay, David.
Oh, I love his little cardigan.
Oh, I'm so here for it. Mitch really does just look like a lesbian in that jacket. And I mean that in like the best way possible. You've got like Mitch Marner and like William Nylander and everyone turn up with absolute looks, and then you've got
Kucherov?
Nathan McKinnon. No, you've got Nathan McKinnon who just looks like a bit like a potato. He looks like he's accidentally turned up to a red carpet. Like,
okay, they asked Rasmus Dahlin about what his thoughts on Jeff Skinner being voted most punchable face in the NHL. And it says, and the quote is, I think he's got a cute face. He's very handsome.
So true. Oh, I love. Wow.
I think he's very handsome. I'm sorry, this has just turned into us like, okay, Austin. He's in like a starter jacket type thing. But it's like, I think it's Drew House. Oh, okay. Morgan's in like an actual suit.
Oh, of course he is.
I would like, however...
Emma.
Is that Nathan McKinnon?
No, wait. You can see Nathan McKinnon doing the double thumbs up.
I'm actually... Okay, oh, Jake Ottinger looks so polite.
Oh my god, wait, does he... Show me.
Check, oh, hello, Matthew Barzell. He's growing out the hair.
Oh, I want to see. Oh, Matthew. See, he just needs to keep growing his hair out, please. Why?
He had great hair and then shaved it all off, and I'm upset. Remember,
hair.
like, that one picture that we got pre-season? Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, we do have one more thing before we go.
We do.
So, as you all know,
sports journalism.
Austin Matthews signed with Prime earlier this season, and they announced that for the All-Star game, they were doing a special limited edition Austin Matthews Prime drink. Now, it was originally only available in the city of Toronto, and I sent my sister on a quest to find some in Toronto, because that's where she lives with my parents, and she didn't find any. She said she didn't find any, and then she proceeded to make fun of me and call me a hype beast. Because of course, right? And I told her that's not why I needed it. And she said, okay, sure. She doesn't understand the podcast grind. And then I got a text from my boyfriend, and he said that he found some in a gas station out in Carleton Place, which is very far from Toronto. So I've acquired a bottle of, I don't know if we're going to do this with video or not. I don't think so, because I don't think it's very exciting to watch me take a drink out of a bottle, and then, because no one else can taste it. Like, Marcie doesn't even have a bottle to drink. But we will be doing the test. It is blue raspberry flavored, naturally flavored apparently, with 10% coconut water. It also is not blue, which I appreciate, because I'm always like wary of like artificially blue flavored food items, because I hate when it dyes the rest of my mouth blue. I'm like, I don't need people to know that I had a blue popsicle. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's white, I greatly appreciate. Thanks, Logan Paul, I guess. I don't know why I'm thinking, but yeah, let's crack it open.
Crack open a cold one with the boys.
It's not cold, it's room temperature. It's been sitting in my room for like 24 hours.
That's even worse.
I'm not, oh my god, if I can even get it open, that's gonna be embarrassing. I'm not even like a big, huge like Gatorade person. I never was. Like maybe I would drink it when I was like ski racing and stuff. There we go. I can't get it open.
There we go.
Holy
Look
crap.
at the muscles on you.
Yeah, that took way more effort than was required. But it smells like blue raspberry, but like also kind of sour. I'm not a sports drink person. I never was. If anything, I have a mild caffeine addiction. So if anything, mild. Yeah, no, it's not at all mild. I had at the start of the podcast, I was finishing off a Celsius, which was after I had a cup of coffee this morning. They brought Celsiuses to Canada, and it's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me, because I can usually like not drink Red Bull because I'm not totally 100% fond on the taste, but these orange fucking Celsiuses taste like orange Fanta. I kid you not, and it is my
I would drink them obsession. Like water.
Oh, I have been. It's bad. I'm gonna sit there and like it's actually honestly the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But yeah, here we go. This is sports journalism. This is underwhelming. This is underwhelming.
Oh.
It tastes really familiar. It tastes like if you decided you were going to mix a white Gatorade with a little bit of a blue Gatorade.
Oh.
It's sweet, though. I will say that for sure. How much sugar is in this? 2 grams? You're joking. I will say, though, the coconut water is nice because you can actually taste that.
Ooh.
The kind of, like, worrying thing, though, in this is I don't know what's in this that says to not exceed 1 serving per day and not to consume with other supplements, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. I am not pregnant nor breastfeeding, but it also is caffeine free. So what is in here?
Yeah.
What have I consumed that may or may not kill me? Because like it's like this is like the same sort of warning that's on like my energy drink, the Celsius that I drank this afternoon. So I'm like now I'm like trying to like match up, like, okay, like what is in here? Okay, sugar, sucralose, vitamin E, vitamin B6, potassium, retinol palmitate, vitamin A, vitamin B12. I'm trying to like what is in here? What is it? I want to know what it is. I don't know if it's like something where it's like they've stuck this warning on here because this is also the warning that's on their energy drinks or not. It says to refrigerate after opening and consume within 3 days. So I guess I'm kind of forced to finish this now. But yeah, I don't know.
You have to suffer.
Maybe it's like because of the sheer it's not bad. That's the thing. It's not bad. It's just underwhelming.
Oh.
Like if this is
worse
like
than it being bad.
Underwhelming. I think honestly, like an Austin Matthews flavored like sports drink being described as underwhelming sums it up.
Yeah.
But so I guess this is what I'm going to be drinking for the next 3 days as I try to finish it. Enjoyable. It's not. It's interesting. For those who do not live in a region in which you can purchase this, aka you don't live in Carleton Place or Toronto, don't know why it's ended up in Carleton Place outside of Ottawa. Don't know why, but if you're not really missing out on much. I will say, if you do want the bottle as a collector item, that's all the power to you. I don't need this as the bottle as a collector item. I will probably throw it out.
Yeah.
Because that's just one more thing in my room to collect dust. And okay, Austin Matthews made a sports drink. But that's it for today's show.
However, the AHL All-Star jerseys have dropped.
I did just see that you did retweet that.
Are gorgeous.
Are they gorgeous?
They are.
Oh, they took inspiration from the San Jose Shark. Oh, those are the Sexy Sharks jerseys too.
I love them.
Come on. Oh, hello.
I know.
Those are great jerseys. Some would argue better than the NHL jerseys.
So I am arguing that they're better than the NHL jerseys. Sorry, Paul.
I think they're better because they won't have the nameplates in all lowercase font. Yeah. But without further ado, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the little taste test at the end. I don't know how I feel about it still, and it's been like a couple minutes. I don't feel at all energized or rehydrated, but also that's because I've consumed a large amount of caffeine today. I'm shaking. I have a problem. With all that being said, though, however, Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you guys all enjoy a wonderful All-Star break, and we will be back on Monday to discuss kind of a precursor to Leafs back in action against the New York Islanders on Monday. We will see you guys all then. Thank you so much. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. Also on Twitter at From the Fourth Line, fourth with a 4th. You can find both me and Marcie on Twitter at 60leafs, at PairB1. All that information, as always, is in the show notes. And yeah.
Goodbye.
That's it. Goodbye. Yeah. Enjoy the All-Star activities. If you're in Toronto, there.
Have fun.
Have fun. If you're not, have fun watching from home. You'll get your chance to go to one. And yeah.
Wonderful.
Bye.